right. Looks like my guest is calling in right now. He goes by the name of Andrew. How's it going?
Hey Kenny, how are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Great to have you on. You got an album out as of earlier this year, 86 Volume 2 Autumn Dawn.
Yeah, we did
So
that in April.
yeah. So you released that particular project. We'll get to that in just a bit. But first things first, man, talk about your journey as far as you getting starting into music.
Yeah, mine started before I knew it started. I was 13 years old and I joined my dad's band, and I was like their roadie. I carried everything, played for free, learned how to play drums, guitar, percussion, and just learned what it was to be in a band and dynamics and everything. And then when I was about like 22, 24, in that range, I just started to, try to do some stuff on my own and, play and write songs and stuff like that. And I remember coming to Nashville like for the first time in like 2008 and just writing with anyone who wanted to write with me. Nothing to my name or anything like that, just writing songs to write songs. And then the rest is the rest, right?
Yeah, the rest is history. So 2008, moving forward to 2016, you signed to a label. You have released some music through that label. Um,
Right.
so as far as who would you consider some musical influences, some artists out there that has inspired you as an artist?
So many. And even today, like I'll listen to people today and be like, man, that's really, really cool. Like I respect that. I respect this. When I was really young, um, my grandfather drove a truck for a living, and we watched nothing but John Wayne. So I got into country music really because of him, and kind of like by default, by just hearing it in the background so much. And then I fell in love with Alan Jackson, and still to this day, I really don't think there's a better male vocalist in country music. And also too, Alan, like when he sings, it's like he's sitting on a park bench talking to you. It's like every song is like that person always like telling you a story, which I think is really cool. If you listen to his stuff, you can definitely get that. And then as I got older, I started playing guitar, and then I started getting into like Guitar Heroes, and Santana, and Keith Urban, Tommy Emmanuel, and people like that. So it kind of went from a whole bunch of country music artists to a whole bunch of guitar players, and then it kind of just meshed together.
Awesome, man. So I see, I'm looking at your bio here, or reading it, for that matter. So pandemic happened, 2020. All of us at home because of this COVID thing. Um,
Hmm.
and obviously you being an artist, music industry, just pretty much everything and anything as far as entertainment base got shut down. Um,
Yeah.
so we was all at home, just wondering when things will open back up, when things will be safe again. You found a way to be busy and be active, and it was for some great causes, performing for many charities, and
Hmm.
and you was on a broadcast virtual tour series courtesy of pickyourticket.com. Um,
Yeah.
so talk about what led you into being part of the series for Pick Your Ticket.
Yeah. I mean, 2020 was such a weird year because obviously everyone just kind of halted, and I remember we thought it was just going to be 2 months, so we didn't really worry about it in March of 2020. And I think when like May and like June came around, it was like, okay, like is the summer going to fix this? What happens when we go to the fall? And so early 2021, or I think it was December 2020, we knew that we needed to do something. I mean, just for sanity, not only financial, but I think during the pandemic, people doing stuff just for sanity too. And we knew we wanted to help our musicians too, who aren't doing much. And so we partnered up with some venues that needed some help and some charities that needed some help. And then we found one location, and we got all the musicians there, and we had all the masks and everything, and all the protocols and the sanitation. And we would shoot a show, and then that show would represent one of the shows in the virtual tour that was benefiting one of our charities or venues. And then I learned real quick that because it's a virtual tour, anyone from anywhere can buy a ticket and they can buy more than one. And so I was like, well, we probably have to do different sets. So we came up with individual shows too. Like I have 3 albums out now. We did one album was an entire show, and then the other album was an entire show. And then I had a show where it was all unreleased music, and all music from like 2008 to 2014, something like that, before anything like launched or anything was on an album. And that was a fun way for us to really kind of keep most of the shows different. Some there's not much you can do because you still have to play some of the songs, but we found more and more creative ways to kind of do different things. But it really did help bridge the gap between making this album and really not doing anything. And then in 2021, we really started working on this album, so we had something to keep us busy.
That's very fascinating. Um, Obviously, when it was a chance for pretty much everyone to find something else to do or come up with something creative per se. And in your
Right.
case, you being a musician, having some connections here and there, found these incredible group of people from Pick Your Ticket, and not only you get a chance to perform, but you get a chance to do this for a great cause. And as she pointed out, it has resulted in the release of an album live from the Escape 2020 virtual tour, which
Yeah.
is available on all the platforms. So definitely
Yeah.
go give that a listen. Support Andrew. Profound respect to you and to everyone
Thank you,
on
man.
pickyourticket.com for being a help, being some assistance, and being the escape for people during the early stages of pandemic, because it just it was mental health came into play, just uncertainty came into play for everyone, wondering if we're going to get back to some sort of normalcy. So having
Right.
something like this at the time, zooming people, because COVID and whatnot. So this was a
Yeah.
very unique experience for you as an artist, and not only you still get to do music, but you get to do it for some great causes. So this is some great
Yeah.
stuff,
Thanks,
man.
man. If someone told me that I would have a live album, but there would be no audience, like on the tracks, I probably wouldn't have believed it. But the fact that we have a live album that's a virtual album, there's no fan noise because there's no fans there, and because we were in a studio recording the shows. Later on, people were like, "Well, we recorded everything," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess we did. Well, we had to record it, right, so that people could hear it." And so it just kind of was one of those things. Was like, well, we should probably take 10 of these and just like release an album because the work's already been done. But it is funny too. I always wonder if somebody listens to it and goes like, well, where's the audience? And then
Yeah,
also there are times that I'm talking and I'm saying you guys at home. So it's interesting too because I wonder if people when they're listening to it at home, right, on their Apple Music or Spotify, if they feel like I'm talking to them, which is kind of interesting.
yeah, that's gotta be interesting, especially a first time listener listening to a live album.
Yeah.
But
Right.
once they realize the title, I mean the date, and look into
Right.
detail, look at the credits and stuff, then maybe people kind of understand. Oh, okay. So that
Yeah,
happened at that particular time because feels like you. Granted, we're living in a streaming era for music anyway, because people just release music through these platforms. But every now and then, it's just a reminder. Just it's okay to read the credits. The songwriting credits
right.
and those details, just to see who
It's
contribute
actually
to
it's
this
actually the
album.
first thing. It's actually the first thing that I do when I listen to new music. I don't know if you do it, but Apple Music, because I use that heavily. Not to say that it's better
Mm.
or worse than any of the other ones. It's just because it's on my phone easily. But I'll hit the lyric button that they have, and I'll scroll just to see who wrote the song. And every now and then, I'll see some friends of mine that have written something, which is pretty cool. I wish more people did that, but it's not like you said. It's not a common thing to read the credits. And I think Spotify, when you hit the lyrics and credits, they give you everything.
Yeah,
Like yeah, I think it has like almost all the metadata that's in the song.
pretty much, man. Uh, so
Yeah,
So with that being said, man, let's talk about your latest release, 86 Volume 2 Autumn Dawn. That's more of a studio album. You
right.
have some songs on there that you released, Lipstick Stains on My T-shirt and Learning How to Forget, which is your latest single. So with everything that has happened in this music industry being affected by COVID. Um, what was it like being in the studio working on this particular album after everything that's happened? Just getting back to some sort of normalcy stuff.
Yeah, it almost didn't get made. Our we flew in an engineer that I really wanted to work with, and that Synapse, the record label, was really fond of, and he almost didn't make his flight because of COVID. So I remember the nerves of the day before, going like, he's supposed to get in tomorrow, and he might not get on the flight. um, and he was coming from overseas. I believe it was. I know it wasn't London, but I know he's English. I just know that it wasn't London where he was coming from. I just can't think of it right now. And then he finally got there, and he had to take tests. I had to take tests. Our first couple of days, he was wearing a mask, and so it was a really weird experience. And then because we were in the studio together for a month, and because of safety protocols and other stuff, we were able to be in one studio for I think it was like 30 days every single day with no one else coming in and out. So it created like a real good bubble. And then after those first couple of days, we just got in such a great chemistry, and it was kind of like you're home away from home, and you got to be extremely creative. And me and my engineer played a lot of the instruments together, and the experimentation process was just great. Grabbing a guitar for 2 hours and really seeing what you can and what you want to do with it, and what makes sense and what doesn't work. As opposed to going into studios previously, where you have hours and you have times, and you have to get in and out, and you have to be more efficient.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I want to talk about this song here, "Lipstick
Sure.
Stains on My T-shirt," which is the
Yep.
opening track. It's quite a fascinating title. Um, and I'm very
Thank
curious
you, man.
of the process of what led to writing this song. Talk about how this song came to be.
Yeah. I saw a stain on a T-shirt. Like, I kid you not, and I just kind of looked at it and went, well, it looks like a lipstick stain, and there really isn't a good version of a lipstick stain on a guy's T-shirt, right? It's always like, oh, he was out cheating, or he was doing this and that, and so I kind of really wanted it to be a good version of that. Like, everywhere he goes, he knows everyone knows he's taken. It's almost like a symbolism for a wedding ring. So that was really kind of important to me. And then the song was just really fun. I had a really cool groove with it. And when we went into the studio everything was pretty much done, and I looked at my engineer. His name is Brett Aaron Hammond, and we need a guitar part that like almost is just as hooky as like the rest of the song. And he came up with the guitar part that you hear, and then we just kind of went with it. And it was really interesting. Like I never really thought it would be a single, and I never thought it would be my first country radio single, but it ended up being that. And um, it's just really cool to see people's reactions to it. And I think it did well at radio only because people like you said exactly what you just said. It was an interesting title, and I had to listen to it, right? And I think I'm glad that I thought of that when I wrote it, because that was never the process of, like, oh, this would be a creative title that people will think of. It was really just seeing a stain and going like, there's really no good version of that. And I really just wanted it to be a show opener. I never ever imagined the song would find radio ever.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the standout tracks
Thank you.
on this album. So that's the opening track, "Lipstick Stains on My T-Shirt," and your latest single, "Learning How to Forget." Talk about that particular song.
Yeah, in 2019, I went through a broken engagement and really didn't know how to move on from that. And I knew that I wanted to write about that process, and I ended up writing about that process in more than one song on this album. And I had that groove that you hear in the song for a very long time, and it was right in between of like sad but upbeat, sad and upbeat. It's a weird line that it kind of flirts behind. And I one day like figured out what I wanted to say about that moment, and I knew learning how to forget was going to be the title. And I wrote. I started the morning with an open-ended prayer and no regrets, and then the song just kind of wrote itself. And that one I was hoping would be a single if we were able, lucky to get it. And after we started working with our radio promotion team for Lipstick Stains, and that was, cracking the door open. I think we got to like 90 on like the Music Road charts and number one on Roots for about 5 weeks. And I knew that I really hope Learning How to Forget becomes a single, because it means so much to me. And it's been really awesome. I still get messages today about how much the song means to somebody else, and how, hey, I had the same thing that you went through, and one of our radio promoters went through the same thing, and so I bonded over that pretty easily, and that's really cool, because the comments you get for a song like Lipstick Stains is, it's fun, it's catchy, it's great, but the comments you end up getting for a song like Learning How to Forget just mean a whole heck of a lot more.
Yeah, man, it's definitely one of those songs that people can. It's a very relatable song.
Yeah.
We have all had forget some things, um,
Yeah.
like daily routine stuff, or an errand, or a favor, or whatever the case may be. We all
Yeah.
have forget something or someone, and it resonates in music. So just hearing from that perspective, and then you get the reaction that you get. It's that makes being a musician's special. Hearing people's reaction to it and saying, "Hey, I can relate to that."
Right.
That's sure authenticity on your part.
Yeah.
So I see you got you as far as performing, you taking it easy
Hmm.
on the holidays this particular month, and you
Right.
getting back to doing some shows in January 2023. You got some shows lined up for next month, late January specifically.
Hmm.
Go ahead and talk about those shows that you have coming up.
Yeah.
Where can people find you in late January?
In late January, they'll find me in Minnesota, where I think it's going to be like -20 to -40. But we're really excited to go. I mean, we love playing anywhere. We don't really care if it's cold or if it's hot. I mean, we did shows in the summer last year where it was like 110 in like St. Louis. So like it always works. It's never really something that kind of gets to us. But it's exciting to start putting shows down on the calendar and start to build tours. We're also in the process of talking with some other artists about opening for them and doing some runs here and there. So we definitely want to tour as much as possible next year because we haven't really done a lot of it in the last couple of years, obviously. And people can find more at andrewsalgado.net, or they can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Salgado. They can look for the check mark on Instagram and Facebook, which is a little easier, and then on YouTube and TikTok and all those other fun areas.
Yeah, so go check it out if you are in the Minnesota area. Just from my understanding, yeah, Minnesota is very, very, very cold at the time of the year. So just bring
Yeah.
yourself an extra layer of clothing and a big coat, jacket, and head over there and check out Andrew performing in Duluth on the 26th, and Yulin on the 27th, and then Faribault. I hope I pronounced that last one. And
You
in
did.
Minnesota.
Right?
So go check it out.
Yeah. And you're and are you on the East Coast right now?
I'm in Kentucky.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we
Okay.
we got some nice venues there, most notably in Lexington.
Yep.
So I just thought I'd put that out there as far as maybe you have some interest. Now, I mean, we're cold. We're not Minnesota cold, but we got some place for some a talented indie musician like yourself who can get on
Thanks, man.
and perform. Um, and go check out Andrew, man, the Minnesota area, late January. Go check out the website, andrewsalgado.net. He's got the music, he's got the tour dates, he's got the fan club, he's got all sorts of things on there that keeps you informed as what he's doing, what he's got going on, what he has in store, and go buy his merch too. That would be very helpful as well. Support
Yeah.
these artists and stuff. Um, Thank you so much, Andrew, for being on the show. I have enjoyed chatting with you um, and enjoying this chat. Uh, Check out his latest album, 86 Volume 2, Autumn Dawn. That's available on all the platforms. All of his music is on the platforms. And thank you for your time, Andrew. Appreciate you being on this evening.
Yeah. God bless, man. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, man. You take care. You have a good night.
You too.
All right, bye bye.